Okay, so today you're going to harvest the insect plant experiment that you set up last week. So the first thing to do is collect all your plants from the back of the class, then return them to the bench. Now, one plant at a time. The first thing to do is remove the organza bag. Do this very carefully so you don't damage the plant or lose your insect. And then the first thing to do is retrieve the insect. Once you've got your insect, remove the lid from the scales, put the weighing boat on, and then 0. Then once that's stabilized, put the insect on the weighing boat and record the weight. Next thing to do is measure the plant height. So measure basically to the very tip of the plant, the highest it can possibly go, and record that height. Then the next thing to do is count the count the leaves, and remember that these are trifoliate leaves, so one leaf will comprise the 3 leaves that you can see here. The next thing to do is try and remove the plant from the plant pot, like Jess is doing here, and empty the plant into one of these white trays that can be provided. Now what to do is try and shake away as much of the soil as you possibly can from the root system. But try and take some time and care over this, because it's very easy to damage the plant roots. So once you've washed away as much of the soil as you can, take the plant to some paper towels and pad it dry as best you can. Now the first thing to do is spread out the roots like Jess has done here, and then we'll count the root nodules. So the root nodules are quite like these little pink structures that you can see on the root system. So Jess is just pointing them out here. Oops, hang on. The next thing to do is measure root length. So spread out the roots as far as you possibly can and measure the maximum rooting depth. And you start basically from where the white bit of the stem starts for the roots, and the dark part of the stem for the shoots. So now we need to measure the weight of the plant. So you'd use a different set of scales for these. These are much less precise, but they're going to be good enough for what we need to do here. First thing to do is put some sort of container on the scales, then press 0. Then once that's stabilized, fit your plant into the container, and once that settles down, record the weight. Finally, the next thing to do is get your plant and put it into a falcon tube that will be provided to you. Now the plant's going to be quite big at this stage, so you'll need to squish it right up and put it in the tube like Jess is doing here. And you'll be provided with labels basically to label that jar.